Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Asi. For those of you guys that are new here, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, this video is with you in mind because I want to go in peace. Because I feel like I've written about exhaustion in my journal more times than a person should since this year began. And I want us to have a talk because I feel like in my lifetime, I've had so many experiences where I feel like I'm continuously faced with resistance just before getting to the precipice of whatever the goal that I have in mind is, in whichever avenue that I'm in. It doesn't matter what I'm trying to get to, I'm often met with resistance. And it gets so exhausting having to invite a sense of positivity and optimism in your outlook towards a situation or towards the goal when you're often met with resistance. But at the same time, I have an understanding that resistance is a natural progression to getting to the goal that you want to get. If I'm Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a hill, there's often a sense of resistance that you get met with at some point when you're trying to go up a hill pushing a boulder. But at the end of it, you get to the top because you're Sisyphus. And it feels like this cyclical journey every single time I'm stepping into something new. Every season that I'm in, there's often that cyclical nature of having to push a boulder up a hill, having to go through this particular challenge and getting to the top, and then maybe having a few breaths and then having to restart the whole process all over again. And that's the point that I'm at, and that's what I want to talk about. I don't want to make this philosophical and deepen it with Sisyphus, but I think that's the one example or analogy that encompasses what my life experience is. And it is very exhausting to constantly be in a position of having to remain resilient, especially if you don't see that often, if that makes sense. Like nobody has to or is forced to share their lived experiences online, of course, or in the conversations that you have with people. And that's what I think makes it feel so isolating, because you continuously feel like you're on your own in everything that you're going through, that the resistance that you're facing is something only you experience and no one else experiences. Because that's the point that I'm at right now. And I'm trying to draw, I'm an optimistic person. I'm such a positive head. I love having to look at things and being realistic about my optimism. I think they call it pragmatic optimism, where you invite realism into how optimistic you are. And I think in the way that I navigate the world and the way that I understand and have an outlook on my life, things always work out for me. But every single time before things work out, I have to face resistance. And I've started, doing my half marathon training. This is the second time that I'm doing a half marathon. And the previous year, I didn't really train for my half marathon. I just ran it and luckily finished before the cutoff time and had a medal because of that. But now I'm actively putting in more effort into training for my half marathon. And I've been noticing a lot of resistance from my mind and from other sources around me. Like there's so many other things that demand my attention that make it so difficult to be active in my training. And the previous week I had an issue with my knee and I had to stay off of training for a while. And so I was writing down, how I was feeling in those at that point in time. I found myself thinking a lot about, the sense of resistance that I'm facing within my running and relating it to the rest of my life, because I feel like it mimics each other. Every single time I look at fitness and I think about my outlook on life, I think the reason that I remain so resilient is because of the fact that I challenge myself in fitness, and it allows for me to gain confidence in being challenged by other things that I have no control over. I think maybe my natural disposition as a person is to exercise control. I'm the firstborn child of an African family, and I love having control. Control is one of my favorite things in the world. And sometimes you don't have control, and it's just something that you have to except for the fact that I also have an understanding that there are certain things that I can control, even in situations that I don't have control over. For example, life is happening as is right now. I'm displaced. The only thing I have control over is how I'm eating and how I'm training and the structure and routine that I have going for myself. That allows me to exercise control in a way that makes me feel like my life is not out of control and life is not happening to me, but I'm happening to it as it happens to me. And for me, this is comforting because it makes me feel like I'm meeting my goals halfway. Like they are coming to me, but I'm coming to them. And that's why I continuously believe that life conjures in my favor, because I'm also conjuring in the favor of my life. Like I'm moving in a direction that is aligned with the identity that I want to be and the person that I want to be. The most exhausting part of it that I find is the isolating experience of having to continuously go through these thoughts of, oh my gosh, like every single time I reach a certain milestone, resistance will meet me. Like, I will be met by resistance. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to flutter it and make it look light and be like, oh my gosh, like this year's trying really hard to be a bad year, but it won't win because I'm badder. Like, I am the baddest, you know? Like, that's kind of the mindset that I tend to adopt, because I'm like, I know that resistance is coming. And often the way that I translate that resistance is it's preparation, because it's always felt like whenever I've faced a moment of resistance, I've gotten some lesson from that that's transferable, that I can apply into the new season that I'm heading into. So I don't have resentment towards the resistance, but I hate that I have to go through the resistance, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think that, is it necessary to go through the resistance? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just get from point A to point B? Because if you are life and you are happening and you want to conjure in my favor, why can't you just conjure in, like, just do right by me, just happen right. Don't make me try so hard. Like, I feel like I'm begging life to be good. I feel like I'm on my knees like every single day. It's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. And even in conversations that I'll have with people about, you know, getting from point A to point B, oftentimes people don't necessarily share how they got from point A to point B, or rather the resistance in between. It's often like, oh, this is what I had to go through to get from point A to point B, without getting into the nitty-gritty. Not to say that people need to share like the resistance, but I think it's often comforting to hear that other people are going through resistance in their lives as well. Not in a way that, everyone deserves to suffer, but in a, oh damn, this is not, it's not an isolated experience. This is normal. This is what we go through as people as we're entering new seasons, because there's something that we ought to learn from whatever that resistance is, right? And I keep on wondering to myself then, if I'm continuously facing resistance every single time I get to the precipice of something, does it mean that there's a lesson that I'm not learning? But oftentimes the lessons that I'm learning are different from each other. And so I can't necessarily put that on myself. But sometimes I get a repeatable lesson and I'm like, did I not learn this properly? Like, what are we doing? Where am I going? What am I doing wrong? How can we get to a point where we're fixing this? And you know, it's in accordance to how I'm meant to live my life. And it's a challenge that I'm continuously going to like have to face, right? And yeah, that's the point in time that I'm at. It's just from a point of exhaustion, of having to continuously invite myself to have the bandwidth and emotional capacity to carry out and get to the goal that I want to reach. And in the midst of all of that, I still expect myself to be a person in relation to other people. Like, I'm obviously going through isolated experiences that are personal to me, that are self-serving for the most part, but I still realize that there are people that I have a duty to show up for. I have the role of a sister, the role of a friend, the role of a daughter, the role of a granddaughter, so many like roles that I play. I work and I need to show up in that capacity. And I've had to recognize that I'm at a point in time where I need to communicate to the people that are around me that, hey, actually, I can't show up for you right now. I need to pour that energy into me. And there are certain roles that it's really difficult to do that in. For example, if you are somebody that works, you can't tell your boss, hey, like, I'm at the precipice of greatness, like I need a moment. You can't. You simply can't. You have to contribute to capitalism because you have to survive on a day-to-day. And sometimes it gets to a point where you're like, damn, like, am I even gonna make it? Like, because so much is going on continuously, and it's really difficult to remain optimistic, especially when everything looks like it's against you. Something that I've held on to and continuously hold on to is understanding that my life is proof that everything works out in my favor, and that in order for me to get from one point to the next and reach the goals that I want to reach, I need to hold on to the faith and the hope that things will work out in accordance to how they're meant to work out, and I will continuously be guided and provision will be made for me. That's not something that I have to worry about. Again, this is just drawing from past experiences and the proof of my life, because sometimes even when you're trying to motivate yourself, your brain requires you to draw from past experiences to prove that it is possible for you to get from point A to point B. And this is why I will never leave fitness, because I think a lot of the transferable lessons that I've gotten in my life are directly from like doing hard training, going to the gym and lifting heavy, and sometimes failing and getting back up and being like, oh, at some point I only used to deadlift 50 kgs and now I can do 100 kgs. Like, if I'm failing 100 kgs now, you know, I still need to kind of work on that, build on that, progressively overload in order to get to 150. Like, I will reach that goal. Even with running, at some point I was only able to run 5 kilometers in an hour, and now I can run 9 kilometers in an hour and 10 minutes. Like, the fact that I continuously invite myself to go for runs, even after crying and being like, I don't want to go on this run, heading out and going for that run, promising myself 20 minutes of running and ending up doing, more than I promised myself at that point in time. And I recently made a video about this on TikTok. And I think it's been so important for me to continuously challenge myself in this way. Right now, something new that I am doing, which is unrelated, but is also, I think, a transferable lesson. I'm somebody that's introverted, and I'm adopting extrovert characteristics, like things like doing small talk with people and getting comfortable with talking to strangers on a day-to-day, because I like the idea of building a social network with people that I know on a very surface level, because I don't have to know people in depth, right? But at the same time, I do find it a very big part of my responsibility as a member of society to communicate to the people that are around me, because I think the Western world is so isolating and it makes us feel like we have to only talk to people that are in our cliques. I try my best to kind of socialize with strangers on a day-to-day. Like, I was telling my friend very recently that I set goals for myself in a week to talk to a stranger outside. Just three strangers a week for me is enough. I'm practicing my small talk, and this is something that I've taken and applied to myself in a career aspect. I can speak to so many different kinds of people because of the fact that I practice that skill of talking to strangers on a daily on the outside, because it helps me develop a sense of confidence in how I conversate with people, and it allows me to feel comfortable in awkward silences. I'm very good with silence. I can keep quiet, and I think that's what comfort is for me. Like, that's why I want to step outside of that comfort and challenge myself, because it's fine to be comfortable with silence, but you need to be okay with also having awkward conversations with strangers or with clients, because that is the reality of life. Sometimes you'll meet clients that are very awkward, and sometimes you'll meet clients that are really talkative, and it just fluctuates. And in order for your brain to get used to the fact that you interact and engage with different kinds of people, you have to practice. That's a muscle that you train. This is why I love fitness so much, because I think it's changed my outlook, or it's strengthened how I look at the world, and it's allowed for me to have a worldview that accommodates the kind of woman that I want to be, the kind of person that I want to be in relation to the world. And in as much as there's so much exhaustion because there's a lot of effort that has to go into these things and in improving myself, I feel like it's worthwhile at the end, because I never want to get to the end of my 20s and think to myself, oh my God, like, I wasted so much time being in my head and thinking about the woman that I want to be instead of actively working towards that. I want to be a sociable woman. I want to talk to people. I want to get to know different kinds of people. And I think a big part of who I am as somebody with a very anthropological lens of life, a very big part of that ethnographic research is talking to people. Like, research is not just about reading. It's experiencing life with people and engaging in conversation and living through other people's lived experiences with stories that they tell you, and seeing different worldviews with the people that you bump into, and understanding why people think a certain way. And I find those things very intriguing, and I don't get to exercise that, or I don't get to be that curious or that intrigued if I don't step out of my comfort zone. So I think that's the point that I'm at. And I think understanding that I want to improve as a person, and I want to remain optimistic, and I also want to gain different worldviews from different people, and I want to be curious and find out more about things. I have to be in this position, unfortunately. Is it unfortunate? I think in as much as I am exhausted, I have a very positive outlook, because I know that there's so much, it's much bigger than where I am right now, and it's gonna get bigger, and I can't wait for it to materialize. But in the meantime, I am so exhausted, but I will continuously put in the efforts that I need to put in order for me to get to where I see myself, and in order for me to grow myself in the way that I see myself. I think talking to people has expanded my mind in ways that I never could have imagined. I'm reminded of the fact that the reason that I'm in the positions that I'm in is as a result of opening myself up and challenging myself to broader horizons, have conversations with people, get different worldviews, say yes more often to things that are aligned to you, and be exhausted, but continue and start things even when you feel like you're not ready. And that's the point that I'm at. And I'm accepting the fact that a lot of the trials and tribulations that I go through, or a lot of the resistance that I face, is it's a necessary evil. Like, it's a necessary evil. And at the end of it, like Sisyphus, I get to the top and it starts all over again. And it's just about mental preparation and gaming and gunning for who I believe I am. I'm in active pursuit of the woman that I would like to be. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Even in my exhaustion, there's a sense of optimism that I'm moving with and I'm really excited about. And I know a lot of the time people receive this as a sense of positive toxicity. If it means that I get to the goals that I want to get to, this is the mindset that I will keep and I will evolve it. And I'm so grateful that I get to be at this point in time. I absolutely detest that I have to go through the resistance, but I understand that it is a necessary resistance. And when I get to the actual part, when we get to the good part, I'm going to be so up. We're going to remember these conversations. These are the days that we're going to look at and say, we're looking back at these days. And I'm excited for that potential because I can't imagine like the full life that I will live as a result of being this resilient and yeah, man, striving for greatness. And that's all I wanted to say. Yes, I'm exhausted, didn't it down, but we gotta keep going. What can we do? Asikwazi ulahla ithemba. Xolo ngomnye umuntu elo themba ahlale phezu kwalo likhulu ithemba, it materializes. Yinto engoyikhuliswe ngokwakho leya, but because of patience, nokungafuni uyikokosa by yourself, it doesn't become what you want it to be. So hold on to whatever little hope you have. The fact that you're still here and you still have a desire to get to a point, to get from point A to point B is enough. That is hope enough. Hold on to that. Strive towards that. Any single bit of effort that you can put into that, put it in, it'll materialize into something. That's what I continuously tell myself on a daily. And I wanted to share that in case anybody else needed to hear it, because I know life is such an isolating experience. Like especially because we're so online, that we get to see people achieving their goals and it doesn't look like they've gone through anything to get from point A to point B. And for some people, they really didn't have to go through anything. They really didn't have to go through anything. If anything, their parents have, created a life for them that makes it easy for them to attain certain things. And some people are just lucky. But for a lot of us, we kind of have to strive towards something and are met with resistance, and we're met with rejection along the way. But you have to hold on to the little bit of hope that you have and put in a little bit of effort. Even if it's 1% effort, it's not the same as giving up entirely. So masibameleleni bethuna, we'll get somewhere. Sizawuphumelela at some point. I have faith, I have hope in us, for us. But yeah, that is the video that I wanted to make today. I hope you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Viva la raza. I don't know what to say. How do you end off videos? This is so awkward. Oh my God, I don't know how to end this off. So I'm just going to say bye.